of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
Okay, hello. I'm not sure if this is working properly. And whoops, no, I want that. And I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna see if this is working properly. I have looked at my YouTube and saw that there was an issue with subtitles. And I did not want that to be a problem. So I went ahead. I'm trying to find a way to embed captions into the stream, so that way even if YouTube can't do it, it's still going to show up. And so I'm going to be futzing around a little bit with this source, and hopefully it will be okay, and we'll be able to use that. So that way I don't have to fight YouTube and hope that all of that is working. I'm going to move the music credits over in the corner, but the captions, they're not appearing anymore. Well, diddly ding dang do. We're gonna put these we're gonna put these right here, I think, and try and get the captions to show back up, because it looks like they were working for a second and then something happened. So oh, okay, whoa, okay, yeah, that's definitely working. They're really obnoxious, which I suppose is fine. Is there a way for me to make them smaller, or to change the font or something? I have no idea what that means. So I guess for today they're gonna have to look a little chunky, and then on another day they'll look less chunky. I think that's gonna be the plan, just because I'm really not sure. Yeah, I was actually out sick today, so I'm streaming because I don't have anything else to do, and I just kind of need to relax. And thankfully, streaming is not a super stressful activity. I don't know if this is going to work in terms of subtitles, because it looks pretty darn obtrusive, but hopefully it's not going to be that bad. And what I can do eventually is I'll go ahead and like modify it so it doesn't look so awful, I think is the plan. I'll have to go back in when I'm off stream a little later and see what I can do to fix it. Hello, Dark Bolt. I have these giant screamy captions for today, and that's just how it's going to look for right now, because I got this wonderful comment from someone from, I believe, Brazil, who seems to really like my streams and videos, but I don't have captions enabled on YouTube, and I didn't know I didn't have captions enabled, and so they were having a hard time understanding me. So hopefully I can eventually come up with a better solution than this, and I'll be able to start putting captions on my streams, and that'll make my videos a little more accessible. Because before I switched computers, I used to have captions that were kind of auto-generated, but they weren't showing up in the video, because I wasn't sure what I was doing. And so I don't know if this is going to work, but I'm gonna try it. So I'm only going to be streaming until probably around noon, so, you know, 2.5 hours, because I do want to give myself some me time where I can just pass out. But yeah, it's definitely going to be time to experiment. My plan today is to try and get the bases done for the 2 models I've already kind of worked on, and then potentially start working on one of the big lads. But kind of looking at what I did last night with the Warpstone Glow, now that I'm not about to fall asleep, I can definitely go brighter, and I can definitely go bigger. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back and touch up the Warlock. Oh my goodness, Snowtwig! Hi! I just kind of got started. Hello everyone, I'm Ben Repaints. I'm a small-time miniature painter, and I'm just kind of getting ready for today because I called in sick because I feel like garbage. And oh, you're ad-free, fantastic. Yeah, sorry about the ads, guys. I need to go back into Twitch and figure out how to turn them off. But I just got started, and I'm trying this caption thing, which I kind of did impromptu because I noticed that a viewer on YouTube on one of my VODs commented that I didn't have captions on. So I'm still kind of getting back into things. And like I said, not feeling too great today, so I'm going to try and make it work. But this awesome fan art of myself in a heavy intercessor armor and my cool little Vipo is made by Darkvolt. So if you guys want some really cool art for your Twitch avatars, or you just want cool fan art, talk to Darkvolt. Work something out, because they deserve all of the commissions and all of the monies. And that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. Don't need the starting soon image. Main camera is working. Main camera is working. And right now there's nothing on there because the area is clean. But what I was working on last night was this little lad. And I started working on trying to get the warpstone glow. Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope it's just a 24-hour thing. I wasn't feeling great last night. And hopefully I'll feel a little better now that I'm giving myself some time to rest. But I was working on this guy, specifically working on the warpstone glow down here. And now that I'm awake and it's daylight, I'm noticing that it's not as bright and vibrant as I'd like. So I'm going to go back and retouch it back up. The other thing I was working on was, it's October. And for mini painters, especially Warhammer mini painters, that means it's Orktober. And I was working on this mini, and with the help of Darkvolt and another wonderful streamer whose name I'm forgetting right now because I just met him yesterday. Give me a second. Let me find it, because I want to give them credit. Totemtic. That's it. Totemtic. They helped me with the base on this, and now I think it turned out really good. It's a Station Forge Orcaz Beast Boss, and between the advice they gave me and just a lot of experimentation, I was able to get this guy done. And so I now have a really cool mini for Orktober. And yep, this is what the lad looks like. This is him now that he's done. What I'm actually most proud of, though, is the eyes. I accidentally did a really good job on the face and the eyes, and so I'm pretty darn pleased with that. But since I finished that a little early last night, I went straight into continuing working on my Skaventide box. And one of the things I was working on is the warpstone glow coming out of the base. And so I'm going to continue working on that today with this one and a Gray Seer, who was kind of my experimental model for my concept. And this is what the Gray Seer ended up looking like. He's pretty neat, and I decided I'm going with Clan Pestilence because I have this thing where I really like Nurgle and the Death Guard and whatnot from 40k. So I'm going to need to do some warpstone glow around this bell, try and get it to have that eerie green bioluminescence. But before I get back to him, I'm going to finish touching this one up because it's now become my test model for that special effect. So we're going to see how that looks today. Oh my goodness, I messed up all of my lighting to get some good pictures of that beast boss. Yeah, the lighting turned out to be pretty okay, and so my goal now is to make it even better because it's still a bit dull, and I really want it to come across as a glow. So hopefully I'll be able to do that with a little bit of modest tweaking, because you're right, it's not bad, it's definitely good, but let's make it better. You know what I mean? So I'm actually going to expand the scope of the glow further up the sphere to try and give myself a little bit more range in terms of how far out I can make it, and that will allow me to have a brighter area, a larger bright area along the model. Something that was suggested last night that I think I'm going to kind of pull back on was using a very dark green as kind of a base, and then working from there. But to be completely honest, I feel like the rest of the base itself is already so dark that I can just kind of do a thin layer over it, and then from there do a bit more of a lighter color, and that will brighten the whole thing up substantially. And I'm also going to go a bit brighter and not stopping at the I think it was, what is it called? Olive brown? I don't know. Golden olive. I'm not going to stop at the golden olive. I'm actually going to go much higher into like an ice white blend, and that's going to be the brightest parts. and hopefully it will kind of retain that greenish glow that will allow it to look like Skaven warpstone. So we're going to see how all that plays out, and if it turns out real good, I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to do it on the Grey Seer, and on all of the other character models for the Skaven that I will eventually be painting. Because even though I don't play Age of Sigmar, I both want to, and I want to have, I just want to have 1,000 points of Skaven, so it, you know, creates a really impressive looking diorama when I eventually decide to make a diorama. So, like I said, right now I'm just kind of working on pushing out the green a little further than I had it, so that I have a little more room to show off the brightness. Like on the back, you can kind of see where it's leaking out underneath the rat. And so I'll just have it leak out a little further. And then when I go back with the lighter greens, they'll be a little more visually captivating. So yeah, I actually ended up staying down here for like another hour and a half because I was busy doing like 5 different things. And unfortunately, my dog decided that I needed to only have a 3-foot by 3-foot sleeping area on my king-sized bed. So I woke up feeling like garbage, and after I got out of the shower, I found out that my dog, who's now 11 years old, unfortunately had an accident on the bed. And of course, that's never fun. You never want your dog to pee anywhere where they're supposed to, but that's also a problem he's never had before. So all I could think of is that his age is finally catching up to him. And so between having to like clean that mess up and just feeling not good in general, I decided I needed to take a day. So that's where I am now. And hopefully I will feel better by tomorrow, and then I will be able to go back to work. Yeah, he's fine, by the way. There's nothing else really wrong with him other than that he's 11 years old and he's a bulldog. And I don't like thinking about it, but that's about the age that, you know, bulldogs are supposed to kind of start getting into their final stages in life. But I've done a pretty good job of keeping him healthy. He's been on a pretty steady, healthy diet of high-quality food. I don't overfeed him. He's maintained his weight for most of his life. He had one period where he got a little chunky, but that was during the pandemic when, you know, we couldn't exactly move a whole lot. But beyond that, he's maintained a pretty healthy weight and a pretty healthy lifestyle. So I don't anticipate him having any severe health problems until his body truly does give out on him. I do know that he hurt his back leg trying to climb up the small flight of stairs that we have as like doggy assistant stairs. Okay, thank you, Snowtwig. Go get some good food, because I saw that you were streaming, and I actually planned to raid you after this, but go get something to eat and have a good meal. Have a good meal. So he's now kind of walking with a bit of a limp because he unfortunately took a small tumble down those stairs. And it's meant that he's a lot more cautious about jumping on furniture and getting down from furniture. And that actually led to something funny this morning. I was going around and doing chores, and as I'm upstairs kind of emptying waste bins, I hear some whining coming from the office. And I'm not really thinking anything of it. And so I'm just kind of going about my day, and it just doesn't stop. And I'm wondering, why the heck is the dog whining? He should be fine. And I go peek my head in the office, and I see that we have this futon in the office, which is like an L-shaped couch that has a pull-out portion underneath the long end. And the poor dog is just kind of laying dejectedly on the edge of the futon because he jumped up there earlier while my wife was still home. And I guess when she left, she thought he got down, but he doesn't have the ability to kind of land safely on the hardwood floor, so he just stayed up there for over an hour, hoping someone would help him get down. So I ended up having to, like, pick a 60-pound bulldog up and put him on the ground gently so I didn't further agitate his knee, or his hip, or his leg, or whatever it is. And now he's doing fine, now that he's free moving again. But I just thought that was funny. So what I'm doing here is I'm trying to kind of mimic object source lighting with a cheap brush, because I don't really want to ruin the tip of a nice one. And I've taken some more of that Vallejo flat green, and I've kind of pushed it out as far as I feel like the light will go, because since it's the darkest color I'm using, it's going to have the weakest light, or it's going to represent the weakest light, right? And now that I've done the flat green, I'm going back with some Vallejo golden olive mixed with some of the flat green to kind of represent a more concentrated, stronger source of light closer to the light source. Oh yeah, he's definitely baby. He's always been baby. I spoiled the poor thing when he was younger, and now he's super baby. Which is fine, he's a bulldog. But yeah, I'm just kind of pushing the brightness back towards the source of the light, which generally is supposed to represent how, you know, light is stronger, light is brighter at the source. And with object source lighting, that's kind of what you want to do. Whenever you're trying to do a light source, you start, I mean, at least what I do is I start with the darkest color, and as I move closer to the center of the source, the origin point, I go brighter. And that kind of tricks the eye into believing that there actually is something bright casting a light onto various surfaces. So if you're doing any kind of object source lighting, that's a quick and easy hack for how to do it, you know, without a whole lot of effort. And the really cheap and easy way to do it is to start with like the darkest version of the color that you're going to be using and dry brush it on in an area that's a little bit bigger than you would actually expect the light to be, and then add a little bit of some kind of color that'll make it brighter, like a white or an orange or a yellow, and dry brush that in a smaller area close to the light source, and then just keep adding that brighter color until it's the primary color. And then from there, kind of go all the way back to white at the very, very source of the light. And you can do that with a dry brush, and it will look for the most part okay. Like, it's probably not going to win you any awards, but it will definitely read as a shorthand for bright light. So that's an option for anyone who wants to try and dip their toes into object source lighting, but is too anxious to do, you know, the full kind of small brush stroke, precise placement of the paint. You know, a more skilled version of what I'm doing. Using the dry brush really helps eliminate some of that fear, because unless you really mess up the light sources themselves, it always ends up looking at least pretty darn good. So that's a suggestion I have for anyone looking to try and do some nifty light source on their minis. Okay, so I've expanded out the area, and I've gone a little bit brighter, and you can see it actually is showing now on the model. The light source is definitely coming out stronger, and it's showing up more on the different surfaces that it's trying to hit. So it's creating a stronger visual language for it. It's making it brighter. And the next thing I'm going to do after I do this green, this golden olive green, is I'm going to start adding some ice yellow into the mix, and then the area that I'm highlighting is going to continue to get smaller and smaller, because that strong source of light is only going to be closer to the origin point as opposed to going all the way out. And what that should do is, to anyone taking a look at the model, it should kind of just read as, you know, a bright center of the light. At least that's the hope. Okay, so I don't actually have an ice yellow. I have what's called Dorn yellow, and it works pretty well as one, because I think it's the palest yellow that Games Workshop sells, and it does a pretty good job being that ice yellow. And hopefully at some point, when I do my full switch over to Pro Acryl, the ice yellow that they offer is just as good. An option I have heard is using a warm pale khaki, like pale sand, also does a pretty good job. So we'll see how this looks in a second. Yeah, that really, really, really lightened up the golden olive. Now again, I'm not going to need as much of this. It's only going to be hitting spots that would be most directly exposed to that bright light source. And honestly, the brush I'm using might be a little too thick for what I'm trying to do, but given that this is just supposed to be like tabletop ready, and I'm going just a little bit harder than I need to, he'll be fine. Now, my idea, the warpstone fallout is coming kind of from this little device. This metallic orb that he's standing on. So that's where I kind of want the spill to look like it's emanating from the most. And of course, when you paint your mini, you can choose another space to be the origin of the glow, but this is where I want mine to be. And something else that's kind of nice is as you continue doing this, Stippling does a pretty good job of conveying the language of this is light hitting an uneven surface. So you don't even need to have ultra smooth details on here, because unless, again, you're going for like competition painting, this will be widely good enough in like the visual language of a glow. So hopefully, once all this is done, it will come together and look like a really nice, bright warpstone, kind of spilling out underneath this Skaven Warlock Engineer's legs. Okay. But yeah, my dog, unfortunately, he hasn't had a great week. We took him to the vet earlier this week and found out that we needed to, like, really cut back some of his nails because I had been neglectful of it. And then he had all sorts of inoculations and whatnot he needed to catch up on, so they squirted, they poked and prodded him a bit, which he's normally pretty fine with, but then they squirted one of the vaccines right up his nose. And he's a bulldog, so breathing doesn't come naturally to him anyway. But yeah, he was not happy. My wife took him, and when she brought him back, he wouldn't even look at me. I tried to give him a treat because he was apparently very good at the vet. But when I offered it to him, normally he runs up and he's super excited and he's happy to get it. He kind of stared at me for a second and then turned his head away. He was like, "I'm not talking to you, Dad." Okay, so especially now with I had the chance to have my glasses on, this looks considerably better. That's definitely creating a much nicer color than and light source than it previously was. And again, if I wanted to, I could continue to push it. You could do the warpstone up his knees, up his armor, all the way up his robes here, have it cover more of this part. Same with over here, just have it spill everywhere. But I don't really want it to be the total of the bottom half of the mini. That was not something I anticipated for. So instead, I'm just going to kind of leave it at that, and that will allow me to continue moving on with other minis to work on. And eventually I'll go back and I'll continue painting him, because if you notice, his backpack is kind of underdone. I didn't paint his feet or the other rats on him. There's a lot of little details that I kind of gave up on because I wanted to move on to something else, but I'll eventually get back to that and work on it. Hey, Shiny Mew Paints. Yeah, I am. I actually was sick today. I didn't feel too great last night. I'm gonna do the telescope. I didn't feel too great last night, and I didn't feel too great at work. And then I slept terribly, and my dog had an accident on the bed. So between all of those things, I decided I needed to take a day. And thankfully, my job has a couple of mental health days built in, and then it has like 3 sick days that are given to you at the start of your employment. So while I'm not happy I had to use my 2 mental health days within the first few months of employment, I'm jazzed that I had them to use. And last night I finished the Orktober mini, and I began working on doing some of the effects on these little rat guys. And today I'm trying to finish up the bases on these rats so I can move on to something else. In this case, more rats. Also, how are you doing, Shiny Mew Paints? You popped in yesterday, and I'm pretty sure you were there most of yesterday, but, honestly, I kind of go into a fugue state whenever I stream, and since I don't do it as often anymore, I don't remember who was actually there. How are you doing? I know you showed off that cool wizard hat for, that you have for VR chat. Hopefully, you're having an okay day. I did also find out that apparently, there are no subtitles on my VODs on YouTube, so I'm putting captions physically into the video to hopefully address that issue. And right now they're kind of rough and not very good because I did this all as I was starting up streaming today, but I will eventually get a much more elegant system in place so that the captions actually look like they belong versus that they're being just slapped onto the video. Okay, I think that'll work for a scope. On to the other one. So this was the Gray Seer I had done, and he's definitely going to need a lot of warpstone. So we're going to go ahead and address that issue right now. Now again, I'm kind of cheating because the recommendation yesterday was actually to start with a dark, like, black and green combination, because this one comes out so bright. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and start with this green and work my way all the way up to a green, or a golden olive / icy yellow mix, because I think that one is showing enough brightness, and I don't really need to go much higher or lower on the spectrum, or on the color range. And I think that's about where I'm going to stop it right there. Doing good working on your Halloween Squig Hopper. Very cool. Yeah, I'll be honest. Doing that Station Forge Beast boss, it really made me want to do a Beast Snaga army, just because the shape or the visual theming of them is so good. And while that was a proxy, all I could keep thinking was, man, I want to paint the one on the Squigosaur now. I want to paint the real one. But between money and time, that's definitely not something that's going to happen. So it's kind of one of those oh well situations. Just another, fantasy army to or wishlist army to put in the back pocket until one day I'm independently wealthy and I have like 1 million hours to work on this stuff. Okay. Same kind of thing here. I'm going to coat everything that the light would theoretically be facing in the darkest base coat as kind of a hypothetical range to where the light would finish hitting. Then I'm going to slowly coat lighter and lighter until I have what looks to be a fairly realistic depiction of the warpstone glow coming out of the ground underneath the bell. That is the plan. It's on Discord if I want to see it. Heck yeah, I want to see it. I'll give it a quick look after I finish doing this base coat, which I'm just realizing now can be a whole lot sloppier than what I was initially doing. So yeah, I love that the orcs have such varied model types, and I love how fun they are. That's one thing I think Games Workshop consistently nails, is making the orc models fun. In fact, I found our Station Forge also did their own version of like a war boss in mega armor, and I had an immediate moment of like, I need to paint this. I can't just let this sit on my hard drive. I need to print and paint this. So I'm right now 3D printing the last of the 3 models that Arya Silverfire kind of commissioned me to paint, and then I'm going to be printing out those lads, and after that I'm going to continue working on my Imperial Fist army rebuilding project. And so hopefully between all that, I'll just have a very, very busy next couple months, and that will prevent me from having FOMO with some of the other releases that are coming out. Okay. Okay, going back around. Yeah, because that's something that Vallejo tends to do, now that I think about it, is they tend to go on very vibrant, and then they dull down as they dry. And I think that's one of the biggest problems I have regularly with painting with Vallejo, is I put it on the model, and I'm like, yeah, that looks great, that looks vibrant. And then I come back to it a little later, and I realize, no, it looks too dull, it looks too dark, what have I done? So hopefully, switching over to Pro Acryl, which goes on vibrant and stays incredibly vibrant, will change some of those issues. Oh, thank you, Montravan. I appreciate it. Hopefully it's just kind of a day bug, and I'll feel better tomorrow. Because I think, my wife thinks a big part of it is that since I'm still working at Best Buy, I'm legitimately working, you know, 6 to 7 days a week, so I'm just not getting enough sleep. And taking another day just to kind of recover should help me even out a little bit more. Speaking of Warg Boss and Mega Armor, I'm looking for a model that you can use this on modern Nazdrag. I don't remember who Nazdrag is, but I'm gonna give that a quick look. Oh, Dark Vault, you got the Space Marine Heroes. That's my next purchase this Saturday. I've already talked to my wife about it. She's given me permission to go ahead and buy these bad boys because they're so cool. I'm a little sad that you chose the exact same configuration I'm going to go with. Oh, the Bad Moons boss, I got you. Because I plan on making my captain an Imperial Fist so I can have an Imperial Fist captain. But look at this bad boy. Look at how cool that guy is. And look at how cool he's going to look when Dark Bolt's done with him. I can see that you're working on some of that higher level shading and highlighting. I'm still not good enough at doing it on the legs, but what you've got going on looks like it's going to turn out really freaking awesome. So yeah, that's amazing, and you didn't really have an option for the Warg here. Doesn't he also come with a bolt pistol and a power sword? I don't recall, but if not, then that's okay. I guess we're just going to have very similar Space Marine captains. Because the other one I 3D printed. Where'd it go? 3D printed one, and it's the generic one that comes with or that is just kind of sold. But I gave him a Mark 6, Mark 7 helmet because I like the old ones better. Not so far, just an optional head without a helmet. Oh, okay. I think I'm thinking of the Company Heroes one. That might be it. But yeah, I printed this guy out, and, you know, he's fine for what he is. This is a proxy, by the way. This is definitely not the real thing. But yeah, I like the helmet. I love how the Mark 7 helmet looks on the Mark 10 armor. But, you know, I'm not super jazzed with how he turned out. And that might be because of the print job, that might be because of my paint job, I don't know. But I'm more excited about the new one that comes in the Kill Team box. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. And, okay, so let's go back, because Shiny Mew Paints is showing me stuff. Oh, that's so cool. This is a proxy, it looks like. I think this is a Twin Goddess Miniatures proxy, which is even better, because they do some really cool stuff. And so let's go ahead and show that off as well. Yeah, he does look a little bit... He has the same problem that the Space Marine 3 Space Marines have. Or not Space Marine, Dawn of War 3, where they're all really lanky looking. Okay, so there's Shiny Mew Paints. What you call it? Squig Boss? Yeah, Squig Hopper. That's it, Squig Hopper. Whoops, way too much. I really dig the orange you got on the pumpkin squig. Orange is a difficult color, and it never looks right to me. A moment, please. Whew. So I'm glad that you were able to get a paint on there that is just very distinctly orange. You know what I mean? That looks fantastic. Awesome job. So yeah, I love that there's more activity happening on the channel, and that you guys are kind of self-regulating real nicely, because I don't have the time to moderate a Discord channel, and so far I haven't had a need to moderate the Discord channel. You guys are just kind of vibing and showing off paint jobs and giving each other advice, and that's super neat. Okay, so now I'm moving on to golden olive and flat green mixed. So kind of the same thing. I'm gonna go pretty close to the edge to show like the light really hitting the raised spots on the bell. And it's basically gonna cover the bottom part, which is why I'm not too worried about it hitting like total coverage down here. Since it's so close to the light source, it's gonna end up being the brightest, you know? So that's kind of the plan there. And same thing here. What's going to end up happening is actually what I probably should do. The low spots are going to need most of the brightness, and the high spots are going to have a little bit of a separation since they're further away from the light source. Okay. So same kind of thing. It's hitting everything with this concentrated color to show that the light is hitting it stronger than it would be anywhere else. And again, I'm not trying to do an amazing job on this. I'm just trying to make it convincing that there is light coming from down here, and the light is emanating up and outward. Right there. But yeah, I'm glad to see that you guys are doing your own little Orktober project. That's super neat. And that they're turning out really good. I hope you guys are all happy with the results of your work, because that's how we get better, is by doing things and then being proud of it, which drives us to do more things. And I don't know, but I hope you guys are challenging yourself a little bit too with what you're painting, because that's also the way we improve. We try new things, see what works, see what doesn't, and then our brain can kind of reprogram itself as it continues to learn. Okay, mix some of that in. I still need to change the palette paper on this wet palette because it is becoming an abomination. It's very torn up. I'm basically using the paper towel I have underneath it as my support right now. And for those who don't know, I don't remember where I saw it, but putting a paper towel under the wet palette does a great job of keeping it even more damp. I don't want to say moist, I hate that word. But it does a really good job of retaining moisture on the wet palette, even better than just doing the sponge. So I would recommend, if you do have a wet palette, cut out a small square of paper towel and put that underneath your palette paper. For me, the challenge is to pick up the brush. It always feels like everything I did before is a fluke. I know, right? And that's kind of the worst part, because you do really good on one, and then you're like, can I do it again? And that's always a scary feeling, because you don't want to try, fail, and then think, well, that one really cool thing I did, I was only able to do once, so I'm clearly never going to do it again. And honestly, the thing that'll help you through that is legitimately just more reps, right? The more you do it, the more chances you have to prove that it wasn't an anomaly, it was a trend. But I agree with you. It's always real scary to try and replicate past successes with paint. And that was one of my big anxieties with painting Horus Ascended, especially since he's such a darn expensive mini. It's like, I don't know if I can do this again, and I'm scared to try, and I really don't want to mess up this amazing mini that Mommy Dova spent so much money on to get me as a payment, because it's a cool mini. But you know, you work through it, you try again, and it either turns out great and you're super proud of yourself, or it doesn't and you learn what worked this time versus what didn't work. So that's, I'm not sure how much that's going to help you with the mindset, but that's how I've kind of had to take it moving forward. It's just like, okay, this time I learned what not to do. What did I do last time that I didn't do this time that caused a difference? I'm actually going to have that very soon, because I think I mentioned previously, I'm pretty sure I mentioned previously, I finally got another Hammerfall bunker, and it's been literally years since I last painted a Hammerfall bunker, and I've talked a little bit about it before, but I'm not super jazzed or confident in my ability to paint vehicles and buildings, and my terrain is consistently my terrain and my basing is consistently some of my weakest paint job. But there's only one way for me to get better, and that's for me to go ahead and give it a shot. And I found something that actually has helped me a lot has been finding other painters who are doing something different that I wouldn't normally do, and then trying that, because it takes away a lot of the fear of, you know, I did it once really well and now I can't do it again, and turns it more into a, okay, well, I've never done this version of it before, and if it goes well, cool, I can now add this to my toolbox. If it doesn't, well, that's okay, it's my first time. And then I find one that I really like, and then I'm like, man, I got to do this on everything. And then it becomes an obsessive quest to try and redo all of my other work or do all of my future work in that one style. And that's kind of what happened when I did Typhus, is I really liked the high contrast look, so I started trying to paint everything with that high contrast look, especially inconsequential models. So, I don't know, it's like with everything else, it's just all about finding your confidence. And the way I do so is through oppressive enthusiasm. Not like toxic enthusiasm or positivity, just I'm going to keep trying because I liked how it looked on X, so I want everything to look like X. And I think something that also helped on my end is just the fact that I found out 91% IPA does a great job of stripping models. What you found helped you with large models and buildings is to start large and gradually get smaller when appropriate. That's probably what's going to end up happening with the next thing I paint. Is that, because I'm at a loss of where to start. I printed this pencil holder for work because I realized that not only do they truly not care as long as it's work appropriate, but it's also my desk where I can put my stuff. And I found out that when we exchange out and replace computers, we keep the hard drive for a couple months just in case. So I need a place to hold those. You also don't like large areas of tanks and buildings. You have to use an airbrush that's in the drawer. That's kind of what I'm thinking, because I'm still kind of not super confident with the airbrush, but it's because I haven't really tried to get better with it. I've just used it. So hopefully, the Hammerfall bunker will give me a chance to really try and use it skillfully versus just using it. But yeah, I printed out this, I made it bigger too, but it's basically a pencil case, or a pencil cup, and I made it bigger so it can hold a whole bunch of spare hard drives and the like. But I'm kind of scared as to where to start with this thing, because, oh, by the way, it was made by Three Dragons Labs, if anyone's interested. But I'm not sure where to start with this. Like, I think I primed it black, and then I did a zenithal prime, and that made it kind of white. And I honestly would have preferred to have kept it black, because it's mainly going to get painted black again with some metallics. So I think what I'm going to do is all the parts that I want to paint with metallic paint, I'm going to do that first, like the piping, and then I'm going to go back and, well, actually no, what I probably should do is go back and paint it all black again, and then dry brush the metals, right? I don't know, but I purposely made it gigantic so that I could use it to store solid state drives and the like, because I have no idea how many of those I'm going to need. But that's a project that's been on the shelf now for like 2 weeks, and I've wanted to be done with it, and I just haven't yet. Okay. Honestly, I think I'm almost done with this guy, because I really like how he turned out, and I really like how the green warpstone glow is looking on him. In his case, I don't feel like I needed to go as bright because there's so much more of it. For your Hammerfall, since it's the most recent large model you did, you kept the leg separate from the body, used a large brush to add the gray base green, then a metallic dry brush on the leggies. Then after I glued it together, I only touched up the green paint with some shading and highlights, since the metallic dry brush is already enough for an effect for you. I'm gonna do something like that. I have the legs assembled, and I'm gonna prime them black, and then just dry brush them with the metallics, and that should be enough for them. But I'm not sure what I want to do for the yellow, because when I first painted my first Hammerfall bunker, I used Demonic Yellow from Army Painter, and I still don't like how it looked. It's almost sickly to me. So hopefully, I'll be able to do something a little better, closer to what I've done with the rest of my models. Because I think I've mentioned before, that's a pretty big reason why I want to move on and kind of rebuild my Imperial Fist army, is not only is it no longer thematically what I want to go for, but it's also color scheme wrong. And the only way I really want to fix that is by buying some new models to add to it and getting the color scheme to be more of what I want it to look like. So hopefully I'll be able to do that. You can try with a spray paint a piece of flat cardboard what colors you want. I mean, I kind of know what colors I want. I want to do something similar to what I've already done with like Torgaradon and my Chapter Master that I made out of Belial. So the plan is kind of start with an orange and then work my way up to the ice yellow highlight. But I'm just not sure how it's going to look on the Hammerfall bunker. But what I might do, I think you're right. I've got some cardboard boxes. I might just go ahead and spray some of that on there and see how it looks on that kind of flat surface, so I can figure out where I want the highlights to be. Because something that always impresses the shit out of me is when people do tanks and they just have this beautiful, like, almost sunburst transition from the dark color to the light color. And I don't know how to do that very well. So that I'm probably going to end up practicing on the Hammerfall bunker. See if you can get the same effect vibrance. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So that I'm going to take your advice on that, and I think that's what I'm going to do. Since I have some spare cardboard boxes just lying around, I'll prime them black, and then I'll hit them with those colors and see if I can get some kind of fun vibrancy out of it. Okay. 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 And I think, by and large, this thing is done. Looking a little rougher than I'd like, but at the same time, looking cleaner than I want, or looking clean enough that I don't want to work on it anymore. So, yeah. This is going to be the guy. The next one, I'll be honest, I'm very intimidated by, because I can no longer use this little thing to work on him. I'm going to need the big lad. I think this is going to be big enough for it. Yes, this is what I need. Because I think I'm going to try and work on him now. And I think this is a fantastically cool model. And I'm not sure how I want to paint him. What I think I actually might do is I might do some speed paints on some of this and see how that looks. And if I don't like it, since the speed paints now cure properly, I'll go ahead and swap out the speed paints with some traditional paints. So we're going to see how that goes. But first, let me get a speed paint brush. I think what I want to do actually is I want to go ahead and mix pallid bone with the peachy flesh for the gnaw beast underneath him, because I think I'm going to work on the mount first before I work on the guy. And I'm going to mix those together and see if I can get kind of a sickly warm gray on the fur, and then do like an angry diseased pink on the bits of exposed flesh we have on him. And then from there, I'll start working my way up into some of the other bits and bobs on him. But yeah, these are neat models. I think that they absolutely nailed the redesign of the Skaven by not changing anything, just kind of putting it to 4K versus 1080p or 480p like they used to have them. You know what I mean? If you've ever seen that meme where it shows a low-res version, a high-res version, then a realistic version of something. And And I don't think I want to use any flow improver on this stuff because I want it to... Actually, no. I think I'm going to use just a smidge of flow improver. And we'll see how that looks. Zoom, enhance. Zoom, enhance. Exactly. I have words. I'm just not using them well. So yeah, I think I'm going to use... usually I use a couple drops of flow improver. I think in this case, I'm going to use just a drop because I don't want it to clump and copy stain. And we'll see how this turns out. And if I get bored of doing this, sorry your family has horrific timing, that's okay. I hope things are going okay. Okay, we're gonna mix all this together. I've mixed together pallid bone and peachy flesh, which is making a disgusting looking kind of brown. Actually, it looks almost like an amber. That's not too bad. And I have no idea what this is going to get dry brushed as. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and paint the Gnarl Beast using these colors. And I might have added too much flow improver. I'm probably going to need a couple layers of this. And potentially a better brush, because this one is too thin. We're going to use a makeup-y dry brush and see if that allows for slightly better coverage. Nope, unfortunately not. So this is where experimentation is important, especially on something like this. You can see pretty clearly that it's not providing a whole lot of color, despite having a whole lot of neutral color to work off of. And that is because I have put way too much thinner in here, or flow improver, which is wild because I legitimately only put like a drop in. But its immediate desire to run into the crevices is causing problems because it won't stay in any level of thickness on the rest of the model, on the higher surfaces. So I'm not getting the color that I want. So what I'm probably going to do is I'm going to get this out of the... I'm going to get the overly thinned version of this paint out of the well, and I'm going to go ahead and remix the droplets a little bit better and try and get a much more consistent color across it. As you can see now that I'm really slopping it on, it is starting to get some color coverage, but it's still not doing a great job of providing enough color on the high spots. So just another example of how good Flow Improver is. What you think about the Halloween Squig Hopper? It looks fantastic. Okay, so that's where you missed us. Yeah, no, we were complimenting it. I think it looks great. I'll say it again. I think orange is a difficult color to get right without making it look too yellow or too red. And I think the orange that you have on him looks perfect. It's, when I think of orange, that's what I think of. So kudos to you on getting a really good orange on a pumpkin to make it look like the quintessential pumpkin. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And what might end up having to happen is I might just end up having to do like the singular layer and then letting it dry and then hitting it with another layer. Yeah, the orange looks great. Congrats again on that. Now I'm fighting this a little bit, but that's okay. Because you can see it's definitely getting into the crevices, but it's also not doing everything else it needs to do. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull all of that out of there. So I can get as much of that flow improver out of the mix. And then I'm going to go ahead and drop some of that back in. And actually, let's go ahead and do a better job shaking it up. Because unfortunately, as you guys are probably aware, when speed paints aren't used for a while, the pigment settles to the bottom of the bottle. And then it's really hard to kind of agitate it back out. So thankfully they added the stainless steel agitator marbles, but shaking it isn't always enough. So I have my vortex mixer that does a pretty good job of giving it a really violent shake very quickly. Okay, that should be good. Gonna mix a couple more drops in there. Mix a couple of those drops in there. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and take a hair dryer to it to accelerate the drying process, so he's going to be right back. And what I probably should have done is a zenithal dry brush with a white, which would have given it a far more neutral color to kind of bounce off of. And since I didn't do that, everything is kind of resting on a sickly gray, which can be good, but at the same time, when using contrast paints, doesn't allow the color to show itself very well. That's why generally, if you do get contrast paints or speed paints, they recommend that you prime in white, because that will allow it to very vibrantly show both the highs and the lows with the concentration of the paint, right? So if I were to do this again, that's most likely what I would change, is I would go ahead and use a dry brush on there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to hit this for a little while longer, and then I'm going to go ahead and just dry brush the damn thing. There's nothing stopping me. So yeah, if you just give me like another 15-20 seconds, I'm just going to go ahead and hit this thing with the hair dryer I have down here, and give it a chance to dry, and then I'm just going to dry brush the heck out of the knobbies. And I'm probably going to hand paint with traditional paints, the Claw Lord. But the knobby spur, I just don't really want to have to work on the minutiae of this thing, so having the speed paints is going to be useful. The white allows the most vibrant true color to come out from your speed contrast paints and painters. Exactly. So hopefully, I'm able to get the good thorough drying of it right now, which it looks like it's doing an okay job of. And then I'll just use, I don't know, do I still have Vallejo white? I still have Vallejo model color white. I'll just go ahead and shake this thing up, dry brush it on real quick, and then we'll move from there. Once again, guys, if you really want to get some incredible consistency with your paints, a good vortex mixer will get you there. We're getting towards the holiday season. If you know that you've got parents that can afford it, or you know you've got friends that can afford it, ask for a vortex mixer. They're fantastic. They make painting a lot more enjoyable because you don't have to spend half the time shaking the crap out of a bottle and hoping that it's going to work. Okay. So let's hope I have enough Vallejo white to do this, because I know for a fact I'm almost completely out. Oh god, I think I am out. I'm gonna shake that a little violently. Okay, that should work. Well, that's one I can actually remove, I think. Yeah, I think I'm out of Rojo Denso. Heavy red. Oh. Minor news from... Ooh. Ooh. Just so you guys know, they, Station Forge has made, what you call it, Death Core of Krieg, Skaven. And, that sentence is one of my favorite sentences of the past month. So, what I've kind of planned on doing is I'm going to eventually do a guardsman army. Thank you. Yeah. Congrats on finishing another paint bottle. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It's becoming a more common thing, which is weird because it feels like there's just so much dang paint in there that I'm never going to use it all, but I'm finding myself getting closer and closer to actually needing to restock with these kind of things. But yeah, they made a Death Core of Krieg Skaven, and they're calling them Grim Core because they can't call them Death Core, but they are... basically Skaven dressed in trench coats and gas masks. So, eventually, when I do my guard army, I probably am just going to do a mixed regiment because it's easier. And they're going to be made up of, like, everything. I'm going to use some of the Earth Defense Force from, or the Human Defense Force from, one-page rules. I'm going to go ahead and use some of the Grim Corps from Station Forge. I'm going to use some of the Rats. I'm going to use some of the Corrupted Guard. It's gonna my Imperial Guard army is gonna be an absolute mess, and that's okay, because they're going to look great. It's going to look great as just a mixture of things. And the best part about the Skaven is, like, no one's going to know. No one's going to know. Who's going to know? No one's going to know. They're just little guys. They're just little guys trying to defend their homeland. And it's going to be great. I can't wait until they eventually make a Skaven commissar, and I'm just going to lose my shit. Yeah, they're just ratlings. They're just ratlings. Speaking of, have you seen the new ratlings for the new Holiday Kill Team box? Because the new ratlings are amazing, and I think one of my favorite things about it is they once again prove that Games Workshop hasn't forgotten about humor, and that anyone who thinks that Games Workshop and Warhammer is no longer satirical because it's no longer funny in the way it used to be are fucking stupid. Because the game very clearly has just kind of grown up with its style of humor. And while some of it is still very juvenile, and while some of it is still very immature, it's not mean. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things that keeps me coming back to Warhammer, is just knowing that the leadership that are making the game are doing such a good job of kind of evolving the game for an audience. They are very jolly, and they all have food, and that's what gets me. Like, the holiday model, one of the ratlings, the spotter, is like trying to give a sausage to one of his companions while they're being shot at. They're like pinned, and he's like, "You want a sausage?" That was a terrible accent, and I'm sorry to anyone in Britain, but yeah, I love it. I love the fact that they're still so jolly and like food driven. I think it's great. Speaking of great, this brush has been remarkably good for dry brushing the hell out of this guy. So again, thank you, cheap Amazon drop shipping company. You've done me a solid by giving me a makeup brush that's doing a half-decent job of dry brushing this guy and getting into the hard-to-reach spots. So huzzah. Kaloo Kalay and all that fun stuff. Okay. Let's go back to using speed paint stuff. Okay, this time I'm not putting any flow improver in, and I'm just kind of using the remnants of what was in there. And now we can go back on. And now I'm getting a much richer version of its color. So, yay, it seems to have worked. And honestly, especially with the guy up top, the Claw Lord, I'm not too worried about having to paint over bits of him, because, again, it's going to go over with traditional paints. The community articles with some fictional dishes made of alien enemies were very fun. Yes, they were. It freaks me out a little bit that the ratlings eat, you know, other alien species, but it fits right in with the rest of the world. And so, good for them. Good for them for continuing that strange and fun tradition. I mean, at the very least, it's not weird in the same way some of the old Dungeons and Dragons articles were weird. I don't know if you guys ever saw some of that stuff, but it definitely hit the realm of uncomfortable. And I'm happy that they stopped doing that kind of stuff. I might have talked about it briefly on a previous stream, because I had just recently found out about it, and my immediate thought is, why would anyone need to know that or want to know that? And yeah, you're definitely seeing a lot better the color coming out now that they've gotten this healthy dry brush of the white coverage. It shows how little actual provisions the guard get. The ratlings are big on food and overindulgence. Yeah, that's been like a key thing about them, right? As I've mentioned before, I've only been into Warhammer for about 6 years, so I kind of missed the boat on a lot of the more iconic parts of the guard. But the ratlings are huge gourmands. They love food, and so that's kind of their thing. Don't they set up, like, not quite authorized trading posts for shit that they've stolen/cooked? Because it's generally better than what the guardsmen can get from your normal mess hall. Okay. I think that this isn't the color that I was hoping for, but it's the color I kind of expected, and now that it's on here, it's the color I'm going to work with. Because I think this kind of khaki brownish is going to work okay. I wonder if GW will finally do some Felinids model. They're popular in the fandom. Aren't they popular in the fandom because everyone thinks they're going to be like sexy cat girls and cute cat boys? I legitimately don't know, but that seems to be the vibe I get. And of all things, unfortunately, I remember Brava Alpha Boosa's video about it. And when they finally found out what Felinids were, it was nightmarish. But that was all part of the meme. Okay, actually, now that some of this is gone, I can start putting in my other colors. What can go in there? Be it sexy or big fluffy cats, there's a flavor for everyone. Have you seen the Alpha Boosa Felinids? I'm asking this very pointedly. Have you seen the Alpha Boosa Felinids? Because if you have not, you're going to be very sad. One moment. Let me see. You don't... Okay. Give me one moment, please. I gotta find it now, because I've saved every one of the videos. There it is. Look at that. Look at that. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to take a snip with this because I'm not sure how the snipping tool is going to react to a VLC, but we will find out. Print screen. Oh dear. Okay, here we go. Okay. Sorry that you... okay. Yuck. Okie dokie. There we go. You ready? You ready to see what Alpha Boosa made the Felinids look like? Because he knew everyone thought they were going to be sexy cat girls? Okay. Let's go. 3, 2, 1, bam. That is what Alpha Boosa has decided that the Felinids look like. And they also talk in this strange, like, warbling meow. So he's not just like screaming, "I am here." If I recall right, the way that they talk in that is like, "I am here. I am here." Yeah, I know, right? Except for Dame Judi Dench's hands; those have to still be hands. They're very not okay. And that was the whole joke. Is like, people stop being horny. This is 40K. Everything is supposed to make you upset. Okay, I think I'm actually almost out of my Vallejo Black too, which again is another good thing because I've already replaced it. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is all of the metal bits on them are going to be heavily corroded. And so like this metal collar that he's got on and this metal harness, it's just going to be painted black and then painted over with like corroded green metal with rust on it. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit this entire thing with this black, and then we'll go back over it. So like I said, I just got real lazy when it came to painting the fur, and everything else is going to be traditionally hand painted. There's got to be a reason there's billions of reinforcements for every planet in the system, and the sterile humanity at large is not. That is true. I mean, that is kind of the joke about it, right? That humanity is the Skaven of 40K, and that's why there don't need to be Skaven. There are already so many of them. They're already nameless. There's already, yeah, that stuff. They're already. Probably should get this because it's starting to move. Okay, the gray underneath this color is kind of conveying more of the color that I was hoping for. I want it to be matted and dirty, so that's what I'm getting out of it, which is exactly what I was hoping for. Now I am kind of sad. I'm constantly on eBay, just kind of looking for deals with 40K minis because they're so freaking expensive, and someone has offered me a set of the Nighthaunt Soul Wars for essentially the price of the new Kill Team starter set. and I really want to start a Nighthaunt army. I think GW is not making actual fill-in models because they're afraid. I think you're 100% right. That's got to be it. They are literally being cowards about this whole thing. But yeah, I've wanted to start a Nighthaunt army since I found out they existed, because my Magic the Gathering deck, my pet deck, was blue-white spirits. And that's basically what the Nighthaunt are, but evil. And it's just like, oh my goodness, what a tremendous transition. But unfortunately, their models are expensive as sin. And I just haven't found a point where I can just straight up spend like hundreds of dollars or even regular monies on them because something else has taken priority. So I was kind of hoping that I could just get the Soul Wars half of Nighthaunt for, you know, a bundled price, since it's all push-fit assembled models, and use that as my starting point. But since that was 2 editions ago, the shit's always really expensive. And I normally can't find it for what I would consider a reasonable price, since they're kind of taking what would be the MSRP of all the models and saying, okay, it's this much. But like I said, I just got a message from a seller who's like, I'll sell you the entire thing for $113. With shipping would be about the same price as the Kill Team starter set. But the buying of models is a yearly quote-unquote project, exactly. But like, I want the starter set because I want those Space Marine Heroes model, I want the Death Guard Heroes model, especially since I have armies of both of those that would love to have more variants. So, I know this is an incredibly minor thing to complain about, but I'm just like, man, I want both of these things and I cannot afford. And I don't feel comfortable asking people for $100+ gifts for Christmas. So it'll be something that I will figure out. I have a feeling that as we continue moving down the timeline, people will kind of dip out from the Nighthaunt, and there'll be more offers of Soul Wars. Yeah, the starter set is going to be available for the next year, right? Because it's supposed to be the starter set. For Kill Team 3rd Edition, which I hate saying that. But my understanding is that it's supposed to be like the Dominion box, or the Skaven box, or you know, the beginner sets that you buy for 40k. It's just supposed to be out there. And it's supposed to be budget friendly too, because that's why they did like the cardboard terrain instead of, or the cardstock terrain instead of plastic terrain, because they wanted people to be able to play Kill Team straight out the box. So I'm really not sure. I really don't know. I'm vacillating on it because I'm a baby and I can't make up my mind, and I also don't have a lot of money. Like, I haven't officially pre-ordered the starter box, but I get the feeling that if I don't buy it now, I'm never going to be able to justify spending $100+ on a box again, especially since the Emperor's Children are coming out next year. And that's going to be like where all of my expenses are going for the hobby. Is I want to save up to afford the Emperor's Children. Like, I want to go ham and buy the full army right when they come out and not have to worry about it again. So who knows? I'll figure it out. Most likely, it'll get sold to someone else, and then it won't be a problem anymore, and the starter box won't be an issue, because I'll either get it, or I'll get it for Christmas, or something else will happen. But it's just a matter of, like, me being sad that I can't afford all the things. And I already have a 3D printed proxy of the Death Guard heroes, but it's not a good scan. So they turned out real sloppy looking. Another reason you want to get all your hero models painted, because I would like to only focus on the Plague Marine half, and the other Marines I could do as Ultras along with my Titus. Exactly. Exactly. I love the Plague Marine half of the Plague Marine heroes. I think that they are incredibly cool models, and I can't wait to actually do a good job painting them versus the dog water job that I did on the 3D printed proxies, because, like I said, the scans weren't great, so everything came through with very muddy points of separation, and that kind of killed my motivation to want to paint them. Though I did find out that was entirely my fault. I had been printing them at 0.5 millimeters or whatever, 0.05, and I was using the same time as I was when I had been printing at 0.3. So I was trying to print them way too quickly. They weren't getting enough light exposure, and they were coming out really gummy and soft. So that's an issue, and that's hopefully something I'll be able to change with the set of heavy intercessor proxies I plan on printing. Solidarity and sadness of not being able to buy all you want. We'll get through it together, one day at a time. And then I'll get a job as like a network engineer, and then I'll have a million bajillion dollars, and then I'll just be sad that I don't have time to do all the things that I want. Because you either have money, time, or energy. You can never have all three. So the goal right now, to get off of that subject, is I'm just kind of painting all the metallic parts in this dark, or in this black, because I want to have a really dark, muted color across it, so that when I go ahead and start painting on like the rust and the verdigris, it ends up keeping with that grimmer, darker look. Though I honestly hate this brush, so I'm not going to use it anymore. I will say though, the Vallejo flat black is a really good color. So if you just need a neutral black to do what it needs to do on your mini painting, Vallejo flat black is really good for that. It's surprisingly pigment dense, and it does a really good job of just kind of being watered down and spreading across a mini and not leaving a whole lot of stuff that you have to do a second coat for. Abuse the brush I hate. I mean, it is meant to be a brush for speed paints, but it's in that weird case where you can't use it to mop on the speed paints like you should, and it's not precise enough to use it for precision speed painting. So it's just kind of there. And the other frustrating thing is it has some of the stiffest bristles I've seen on an army painter brush, and it's just like, how dare you? You're supposed to be like that for good brushes, not for brushes you're meant to abuse with speed paints. I will also say I absolutely love the fact that the Claw Lord has a rat gat. This is one of my favorite things. He's just got a frickin' gun. Okay, I'm not going to be painting any of the wood furniture on here because I want the wood furniture to stand out a bit more, I think. Okay. Get all the metal bits painted black, which is also going to be a nice indicator for me of what I need, what I immediately need to go back over with a metallic, because if it's painted black, that means it's metallic. Okay. There we go. And that looks pretty okay. The last bit is going to have to be this thing. Hellboy meme with the monkey having a gun, but it's a rat. Exactly. Have you seen the it's like a YouTube short / a TikTok short, where the rat gat was first introduced? Or at least where I first saw it? Because if not, I'm going to have to pause this, and I'm going to have to go over to YouTube and find the rat gat so you can see the rat gat, because it's very funny. And it perfectly summarizes the hostile chaotic energy, or the malicious chaotic energy that is a Skaven. Oh dear. Okay, we're going to have to go watch the video for the rat gat really quick. Let me finish getting this on so I have a consistent paint job across the entire thing. Okay. Let's see, let's get that collar. I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is also supposed to be a Claw Lord, so I think it's from the key art of this model. So let's give him a chance to dry. Let's go on an internet adventure, which is always kind of a dangerous thing to say, right? Okay, to the YouTubes. Excuse me. Are you kidding me? Am I not going to find it? Oh, I found it. Okay, so we're going to turn this back down all the way. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out over here. Let's see. That's going to go all the way back up. Window capture. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. Yep, of course it's dreaded on. They do great stuff. Okay, hopefully the audio is working.
The most strong, powerful weapon in the Skaven Horde arsenal!
Ooh, I'm so scared. What's it gonna be this time, rat boy? A rat ogre with lawnmowers for hands?
No, you stupid bitch! We tried that already! Now behold, the rat cat!
Oh shit!
Now give me all of your f***ing money!
Don't know if you were able to hear that. Oh, it's very quiet. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We're going to go ahead and mute that. We're going to go ahead. What do I have the audio at? It's at negative 25 decibels. We're going to turn it up to that. And we're going to do it again.
The most strong, powerful weapon in the Skaven Horde arsenal!
Ooh, I'm so scared. What's it gonna be this time, rat boy? A rat ogre with lawnmowers for hands?
No, you stupid bitch! We tried that already! Now behold, the rat cat!
Oh shit!
Now give me all of your f***ing money!
The rat cat. Good stuff. I saw that, and I already wanted to do Skaven, but it's like, okay, I vibe with this. I vibe with this very hard. So, yeah. That's this guy. That's this guy right here. Except he's going to be dirty because he's Clan Pestilence. He's just going to be a filthy little bastard with a rat gat. His gun is going to shoot disease. Because he didn't wash any of his bullets. Okay. Okay, I think... Oh gosh, I just realized they just nailed the leather strapping into this thing's flesh. So it's just kind of buried in there. Okay, I think the rest of this is going to be painted... Actually, no, he's... Is he in a metal saddle? He's in a metal saddle. What a lunatic. Apparently the Skaven are not allowed to make themselves comfortable because they put him in a metal saddle, I think. Okay, go ahead and do some more of that on that end. That on that end. I think, by and large, the metallic is done. So now I can move on to kind of blocking in some brown for, like, the leather and whatnot. It's always nice to see when people have fun. That's the... They're rats. They already have fur-lined butts. You are correct. They already should have some cushion in there, so hopefully it's not too bad. Okay, the next thing I gotta get rid of is this Vallejo flat brown. I have another color in place of it already with that dark umber, and honestly, I like the dark umber a whole lot more. But I'm gonna have to try and use as much of this flat brown without just absolutely wrecking it. I'm losing my paints. I had greens. There they are. But yeah, I already have, like, a list of colors I want to replace, and I've already been to the local game shop that sells them, and they actually have every single color in stock. So the big thing that has stopped me from buying all Proacryl is just money. So hopefully that will be less of an issue around the New Year's. But yeah, all I did was I mixed some of the black with some of the flat brown to create this much darker brown that I'm using kind of as a shadow. Then I'm going to build it up to highlights using... reminds me, you want to get the new War Paints Oak Brown because you're running low. I'm assuming it's good, since you want to get more of it. That would be the Army Painter Fanatic line, or is it still their War Paints line? Because I think they've rebranded their base line of paints as Army Painter Fanatic. And I guess that's a good thing, because it allows them to have a clear brand separation from their original stuff. or as war paint, or as yeah, Fnatic, because it gives them a clear brand separation, so people won't be confused when they look at what paint they're getting. You know, I want the Army Painter Fnatic, not the Army Painter War Paint, because there is a very strong difference in quality between those. But yeah, I'll be honest, I thought that Pale Sand was going to be like the one color that I never stopped using. And so I was kind of surprised when I realized that, no, I'm doing a full shift over. Like, I'm even changing out my Imperial Fist Averland Sunset for, I can't remember the name of the color, but it's like a golden color from crap, my brain potato. Pro Acryl. There's so many darn brands that my name keeps forgetting which one I'm talking about. Again, just kind of tapping away. And the good news is that his art or his robes are going to end up being like a sickly green. Hey, Montravant English, I still have a few colors of the new Scale 75 lying around to test. You can never have too many colors. That's a lie. I'm running out of paints and excuses to buy the Fanatics. Very cool. I hope the Fanatic line gives you similar color to what you've already got, or better color than what you've already got, because I keep hearing the Fanatic line is amazing, and a lot of the things they do with it help make painting easier for the painter, and I'm all for that. And yeah, Montravon, you can never have too many colors. But at the same time, nothing feels better to me when nothing felt better than when I kind of narrowed down exactly what colors I was going to use all the time and gave myself like a legitimate toolbox, you know what I mean? So instead of having to try and buy every tool because I wasn't sure which ones I was actually going to use, I'm now at a point where it's like, okay, I have the exact tools I'm going to need. I know exactly the colors I want to have. And unless I get a really weird off-the-wall paint job, I know exactly what I'm going to use. Angel Green is a bit too blue in shade than I'm used to, but I can mix a bit of yellow in. Yeah, the color shifting is probably a bit frustrating. And that was the biggest problem initially when I moved away from Citadels, was Averland Sunset is just such a darn good paint in terms of overall color. And it's like the exact color I want my Imperial Fists. And I tried to do Vallejo between their game color and their model color, but I just could not find a good substitute for Averland Sunset. So what I ended up doing was just going straight back to Averland Sunset. Because it's like, if you found a color you liked, you just used it. I think I ended up buying 2 bottles of the airbrush and 2 bottles of the I don't need to use this anymore. Gosh, I can move on to the finer paintbrush. 2 bottles of like the regular paint, so that way I just always had Averland Sunset. Okay. Gonna break out the nice paint. I always tell my wife the problem is limited storage space. Yeah, that is true. I have a very large basement downstairs that I am storing things in very inefficiently. And that's another reason why I kind of want to downsize a lot of things. Or at least make it so that my storage is more intentional. So my hope is, once I get a little bit of time off work, I will be... You don't mind mixing paint brands as long as I get the color and coverage you like? That's fair. That's also fair. That's why Averland Sunset is like the only Citadel one I still use, because it works regardless. Though actually I take that back, I'm also still using Araman Blue, which kind of became my mix color when I was trying to make a good Sons of Forest color. Oh wait, no, I've got a couple more. Okay, I've got Gal Vorback Red, I've got Screamer Pink, and I've got 2 flesh tones that I need to change. Your son stole your storage space for his Legos in the cellar. I mean, that's fair, though. One thing I was always brought up on was that once you have kids, they become the priority. And while I don't necessarily agree that everything now has to go towards the kids, I can understand why everything goes towards the kids. I'm also not a parent yet, so I don't really have much qualifications to speak on the subject. Okay, let's go ahead and... There we go. There we go. There we go. But yeah, my basement is basically my basement. My wife doesn't come down here except to help do the laundry every now and again. We may not be parents, but we were kids. That is very true. And one of the most invalidating things you can do is tell someone you don't get to have a voice because you haven't done X. Because while it may be true that you may not have the same context, you still should get an opinion. And you should be allowed to have that opinion and allowed to express that opinion. At least that is my feeling. Okay, and once again, this paintbrush is coming in clutch because it's allowing me to do these fun little highlights that'll, in the long run, look a whole lot better on the model. Okay, I think I also still want to do a darker brown for the staff, for the haft of the spear. But I don't think it needs to be as tightly colored as everything else. Children are what remains of us. That is also very true. They are part of the legacy. They are a whole reason why we exist as a species. To make more of them. Okay. But yeah, I'm excited for the day that I become a parent. I'm terrified for the day I become a parent. I hope that I do a good job. And I think that fear is what's going to keep me grounded as I parent. At least I hope it does. I'll see eventually. In the meantime, I'm going to keep painting my little army men. If I ever have kids of my own, I will hope they elect to play Dark Angels because they sure won't be able to paint any. That's also fair. I really hope my kid's into some of the same weird shit that I'm into, but I'm also not going to be surprised if they're not, because that's kind of what happened with my parents. My dad was very athletic and was really into doing creative things with his hands, and he got really into like working on cars, and he got really into doing home repair and that kind of stuff. And it pretty much all bounced off me. It was not a thing I was super interested in. I was always into like nerdy stuff. And that was something that he never really caught into, because by the time it was popular, he was in the military and didn't have time for it. Okay. So who knows? My set of kids my kids may end up being super athletic and into the popular stuff, and they may have really fulfilling social lives because of it. I'm not going to know how to deal with any of that, so I'm just going to give them a thumbs up and guide them if they need it and hope that they make good choices. Oh no, I just got a text. It caused my entire phone to vibrate. One moment, I'm going to turn off the window capture real quick so I can check on that. Camera, goodbye. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, nope, they can go away. I don't need to hear from them. Okay. Yeah, so the local community college is still trying to get me to sign up for classes, even though I attempted to sign up for classes to try and improve my my networking stuff, but I didn't have the money, which is a constant major issue. So I just ended up not paying for the classes and therefore not signing up for them. Okay, so now I'm back. Okay, good, I'm back. But they still are giving me notifications to be like, hey, you should sign up for classes. which makes sense. They want to try and encourage me to continue giving them money, though I would counter that I have to give them money in the first place to continue giving them money. All in all, there are some things on this guy I want to touch up. Like, I think I want to go back over with a lot of these colors, especially the speed paint, because you can see it applied itself very inconsistently, which is fine, but I'd like to go back over it and give it a more consistent coat. And then from there, I can continue working on the other parts, because he is coming together, actually a whole lot more rapidly than I expected, but he is coming together. And I think for the fur color, I'm going to make him kind of a mangy black. Either that, or I should probably look up some Skaven culture and see what color fur ends up being like the military leaders. That might also be a good idea. Because I know that the Skaven have a stratified class system based on the fur color. Or something like that. Because I watched an Adeptus Ridiculous episode. Okay, let's continue painting that. And again, this is one of the reasons why I push for getting better brushes, because I am right now using a brush with a terrible tip, and it's making my painting actively worse. Okay. The metallic bits are painted. The wood is painted. The leather is painted. His robe, his tail, the bone, those all need to get painted. They will eventually. But I think in terms of base coating, a lot of my stuff is done. So I can go ahead and clean up my palette and move back into speed painting the fur again to give it another touch-up layer. And see, this is where I hecked up, so I can't really blame the speed paints because I applied them incorrectly. So anyone watching this video going, man, those speed paints don't look very good, know that it is my fault. Because I've done brilliant things with speed paints, but unfortunately this was not one of them, because I used improper technique. Yep, right there. Oh dear. I might not be able to fit as many of these per row as I thought I could. That's okay. Okay, so we're going to get some of that pallid bone back up. We're going to get some of the saddle brown back up. And I'm going to use that once more to kind of recoat this guy. See what we can do. Peachy flesh was the other color I used, not brown. Yep, we all learn. And that's why I like streaming this stuff, because I've said it before, I'm not an expert in this. And I think having a resource to learn is just as important as being able to do it flawlessly, you know? So anyone watching who is just vibing with the channel or whatever, they still get a chance to see, oh, this is what happens when you mess up, and here's a potential way to fix it. And honestly, I kind of want to do a second layer of this anyway, because I want it to be a little more substantial across the model. Like, I think I like this weird fleshy color. This weird, like, amber color his fur is going to be. So I'm going to play with that a little more by making it a lot more prominent. Making mistakes is definitely not the end of the world. Yes, that's a huge reason why I wanted to do this online and start this channel, was proving to people that just because you messed it up doesn't mean the model is ruined, and you're always going to have chances to course correct, and you're always going to have chances to modify. And so you should never feel bad or hesitant about doing things to one of these models. They are literally just plastic or resin, and even though it may feel bad because you wasted paint, the fact is you can paint over it. And honestly, in the grandest scale of things, the paint is cheap, but your appreciation for the model is what's going to last, you know? And I think we've talked about this before, but it rings true every time. You can always strip the model and try again. There's no shame in doing so. I've done so with Tor Garadon more times than I'd like to admit. And every time I've repainted him, he's turned out better. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be allowed to start over and do it again. And get more appreciation and more enjoyment out of your do-over than, you know, constant frustration and embarrassment by looking at something that you're not super proud of. This is a hobby. You should be enjoying yourself. And anyone who tells you otherwise is wrong, and you should ignore them. And I mean, I don't remember exactly what it is, but kind of one of my favorite petulant retorts to anyone who tells you you're doing it wrong or you're painting it wrong or whatever, when it's something that's supposed to be yours, is like, fine. When you do yours, you can do it the way you want to. I'm going to do it this way because I like it. So it's just one of those things, you know? Enjoy yourself. Like that Bob Ross thing. I mean, look at that. That color is already looking so much better. And when it dries out, I'm going to go ahead and touch up the areas where I had some overspill. And it's just going to continue looking better. Because this is just meant to be that ugly phase of that first step. Where I'm just trying to base coat him all in and give him a consistent color. So yeah, it's just going to keep getting better. In the meantime, though, what time is it? It's 11:13. It's been about a little under 2 hours. I don't know if I really want to go further because there's so much of him that still needs to dry. Actually, I know what I can do. I know what I can. Just a little bit further. I can work on the grip on his spear haft. And then from there, I think I'm going to have to call it. Partially because I'm getting hungry and tired, and partially because there's not much more I can really do with him right now. So I'm going to mix up the last remnants of this Vallejo buff that I have, which has been an excellent replacement for like parchment and bone color. And honestly, I'm going to do... Oh, I'm almost out of this too. Correction. I am out of this. I just squirted the last little bit, which should be just enough for me to do the spear haft. And I knew this was coming. This was a huge reason why I started thinking about getting into another color or another paint line, because I was like, I'm getting close enough with my current one, with a lot of my key paints. Now wouldn't be a bad time to start thinking about shopping around. Because I feel like I've gotten to a level of competence and comfort with Vallejo. So mayhaps it's time to try and expand my comfort zone and expand my horizons and try a new paint out. And then if and when I get tired of Pro Acryl, I'll try another one. But honestly, I'm kind of in love with Pro Acryl, so I have no idea if I am going to get tired of their paint line. Okay. Paint all that up. And what I can actually do with this is, now that it's been painted in this color, I can let it dry for a second, and then I can hit it with the brown speed paint, and I can use that as kind of an oil wash into the crevices of this. That'll really make the actual individual strands of rope stand out better. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this with a hairdryer real quick. Super. And then let me check to see, because I just got pinged. Fair enough. Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna need a little bit of the brown. I'm gonna need a little bit of the black. Yeah, grim black. Just a smidge though. I don't want to use too much this time. Let's clean out that well, because that well has become kind of a designated speed paint well. A little bit of the black, a little bit of the brown. Where the brown? There's the brown. Satchel brown. I know it's difficult for a stream. I use a hairdryer to dry the colors. It saves for lots of time. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. But I'm also, yeah, that's a huge part of it, is that having that hairdryer. I have a cheap, like, $15 hairdryer that I bought from Walmart. And I've used it for drying airbrush paints. I've used it for drying washes. I've used it for a couple of different things, and it's been super good for all that. It's just today, especially, I'm getting to a point where I'm getting tired, and so I'm gonna get off stream, and I'm probably gonna head upstairs and just vibe with my pets for a little while. But I think I just put way too much. No, actually, I put just enough. I was gonna say, I think I put way too much flow improver in there. What I did was I didn't put enough brown in there. But I thought I put way too much flow improver in there, and this wasn't going to do what it's supposed to do. But you guys can see pretty clearly, I don't know if you can see clearly, that this is doing a really good job of kind of only permeating into the low spots and kind of ignoring the high spots. No, you can't. Now you can. And so, bully for me for accidentally doing something right again. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull some of this back out. Add a little bit more of that saddle brown. Mix it back up and try again, because I do want it to have more of a brown shadow tone as opposed to a black one. Pretty specifically because it's supposed to be a shadow to the khaki color. And the khaki color is better complemented by a soft brown than a soft black. And that'll be okay if it ends up fading it a little bit, because I want this to all have kind of a brown tone to it. And there you go, kind of the same thing. It's doing a good job of hitting the low spots without really dominating the high spots too much. So honestly, if I continue to use speed paints, it is legitimately going to be because I find it to be a much more interesting and dynamic wash than the actual washes that everyone's been putting out. So I guess yay for me for figuring that out. You posted some more work in progress. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought I heard. And that'll be a good place to stop. I'll take a look at those real quick after I clean out this this well, and then we can kind of end there and see if there's anyone fun to raid. You're both lucky I'm still in the office. Well, I should be in the office, in all seriousness, because like I said, I just was having a rough morning and I felt ill, so I stayed home. Yeah, look at that guy, looking fantastic. Go ahead and pull back out. Also, I like the vignette you put on that to make it have that frame. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at that bad boy. I love that captain. I can't wait to own that captain. I'm probably going to give him a different helmet because the laurels are very ultramarine. So I'm probably going to find a way to make him like an Imperial Fist captain. And that'll be awesome. But there he is. What a good looking lad. You absolutely killed it. The vignette is your macro lens clip on. That's very cool. I dig. Is it like a lens cover? A lens filter, whatever they're called? Because I've heard that those are just really good, even if you're not really trying to use them, to protect the lens itself. You know, because if you break a $15 lens cover, that's a whole lot better than breaking a $300 lens. So that's something I want to get for my camera. And eventually I will. Once again, that's a hobby that kind of fell to the wayside once I stopped working for the yearbook club, hosting that at the school I worked at. Your camera can't switch lenses, so it's just a clamp. Okay, that's fair. I mean, still, if it protects your camera lens, then more power to you, right? I have an old, it's not a Ryko, Pentax. I have a Pentax K50? I don't recall, but it's about 10 years old. It's a DSLR. One of the mechanisms on it is going so the autofocus doesn't quite work anymore, which is fine. But I really want to upgrade because it doesn't have a dedicated HDMI slot. If it did, I would actually be using it instead of my my cell phone. And I'd probably turn my cell phone around and I would use it for face recognition, so I get an old Panasonic Lumix from 2009. Mine's not that old, thankfully. But kudos to you for getting some really cool pictures with yours. Part of the reason I don't want to get rid of mine is because it's got a white frame, and I just think that that's real pretty. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll be right back. I used to actually take miniature photos with it, but then I kind of gave up on that because I hated setting it up and tearing it down. But yeah, this is mine. And it's a good camera. It still works fine, except for the autofocusing issue. But again, the biggest issue I have is that it's just a hassle to set up and tear down whenever I want to do miniature photography. And yeah, the macro lens for that is really freaking cool. It's definitely good, and that's something I need to buy. I'd like to buy a better macro lens, and I'd like to buy I think it's an 18 to 140 millimeter lens that can be a really good multi-purpose lens. This back. But yeah, photography was a bit of a hobby for a little while because of getting into it because of yearbook. I, at one point, had a really nice Pentax K3 II, but I bought that using school funds for the yearbook, and now I kind of can't anymore. So that is what it is. Do you have a marble in you? I don't know if you do, but I probably should put one in there. Okay, I think that's going to be it. I'm starting to get really tired. So, is there anyone online? No one is online. Yeah, so I guess in that case, I'm just going to go ahead and dip. Thank you guys for joining me. I should be back on Tuesday again of next week. I might stream. I don't think I'm going to have to stream again this week. My wife actually got to play D&D yesterday, so I'm not getting a free night. But yeah, I will see you guys later. Hopefully, actually, when is Community Day? Is Community Day next week, next Friday? Or next, it's on the 4th, ain't it? I forgot when Community Day is for Doig Swift. I know that their deadline is Sunday evening. Okay, so yeah, I guess the next time you'll see anything is going to be for Community Day. I'm going to be asleep, but I hope that they enjoy the stuff that we both show. Oh, by the way, Dark Cold, I am definitely showing off the fan art you've done of my little Vipo, so I appreciate it, and I hope they get a kick out of it too. That being said, though, guys, thank you again for joining me. I had a lot of fun hanging out with you guys, and I will see you later. So, bye-bye. Tired.